Okay, welcome everybody to the October 30th, 2025 edition of the Technical Advisory Council of the Confidential Computing Consortium. We are an open and collaborative group. If you're new here, you're welcome to join in the conversation constructively, just like you're welcome to contribute to any of our open source projects or participate in our working groups or special interest groups. We abide by the antitrust policy of the Linux Foundation, and the URL to read more about that is linuxfoundation.org/antitrust-policy. Today, we are continuing on our sort of compressed schedule so that we're trying to get everything in an hour. We've got some significant announcements to get through, not insignificant anyway. And then we've got ILET's update. So that'll be sort of the mainish topic for today. And then I wanted to more or less conclude our budget, our budget discussion. But in front of that, I want to just give a pass down from the last board meeting on the strategy that they would like us to take on for the coming year. And this will be kind of the first year that I think we've gotten a clear direction or a clear charter from the board at this kind of specificity. And there probably will not be time to talk about the project proposal that was put to the list. I am hoping that people are responding on the list to the proposal so that that can be resolved efficiently that way. Any other topics that people were expecting that I didn't capture in the agenda for today? Once, going twice.
So there's an email.
Yash.
Yeah, hi.
Very faint.
Because
oh, maybe it's starting to pick up your gain now. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
We might not have time because we only have an hour. But there is an email from Mark about the TE fail flaw, and he thinks that the consortium should respond to that because there's a lot of doomsday language. So something that should be like on deck for maybe the next call for the TAC to discuss and probably come up with a response if we choose to respond.
Okay, yeah. That's good for everybody to take a look at. Typically, vendors reply directly to vulnerability notifications, and the CCC doesn't respond to that as a general thing, but we could certainly look at that. I have not had a chance to read his email yet, but I'm familiar with the issue, and we can, like you're saying, consider that for next meeting. Let's see here. Thank you, Yash, for dropping that into chat. All right, running along, might come back and take a look at our formal attendance when we get back down to the budget topic, but I think I'm gonna just kind of fly past that today. But if you are new, we really do want you to be engaged in the conversation and feel welcome to jump in. So if this is your first time or maybe your second time, feel free to introduce yourself here. We're pretty casual, so just pop off of mute and let us know how you like to be addressed, where you're joining from, and your interest in confidential computing.
So Dan, I'll introduce myself.
Yeah, that'd be great, Nigel. You're a bit faint for me, but
okay, I'll try and speak louder. Get closer.
Thank you.
So my name is Nigel Edwards. I am in Hewlett HPE Labs, so we have a group working on confidential computing. You'll probably see several of my colleagues pop up in these and other forums. I think we finally got signed off and actually joined the Confidential Computing Consortium. I think the agreement was fully executed on Sunday. So this is all very new to me and the team. So I'm just here really to learn.
Okay, thank you. That's great. We're excited to have you. So if anybody had difficulty hearing Nigel, he's with as you'll see his name in the chat there with HP Enterprise, and they've just joined as a general member, I believe, of the consortium. So it's great to have another tech giant joining us here. All right. Anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hey, my name's Casey. I came to a meeting a couple weeks ago, but I had to leave early. So this is probably my first official full meeting. I'm a software developer, former boot camp instructor, and adjunct professor. I sort of came here through an old job. Just sort of stumbling across this, but my primary goal at the moment is sort of developer education, or maybe just general business education to make this sort of the standard way that people use cloud compute. So that's basically through building tooling and you know, giving tangible like snippets of how to use this for developers so that they're not intimidated or turned off by it. So that's sort of, my general trajectory right now, trying to be involved a little bit more. But yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks for joining, Casey. And that's absolutely something that we need. And Nigel and I had exchanged a couple notes and got sort of a similar gist from him that we have some complexity, and sometimes we expose all that complexity in a way that can scare off users. And so having things more approachable, more adoptable benefits everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. If anybody else would like to introduce themselves as we go on, feel free to do that. But I think everybody else on here has introduced themselves in the past. Last time we talked, I guess, maybe briefly about the research fund. So that committee's up and running. We had maybe our second discussion on the budget and a second discussion on this sort of zero knowledge verifier that you'll see out on the mail list. And now we're headed into the new business for today, and I'll turn things over to Rian to talk about this aspect of governance.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, it's that time of the year where we need to have elections for the chairs for the outreach TAC committees, as well as the governing board. And the important here as well, the general members also get a seat on the governing board. So you will also see a notification about that. If you're a general member and you want to be representing your company and all the general members of the CCC on the governing board, please have a look out for that. By Friday, we'll send out the email to all three mailing lists, GB, TAC, and Outreach. Make sure if you're not on that mailing list, reach out to me on Slack, or I'll drop my email address in the chat, and make sure you get onto the mailing list to get all the right information so you can participate in these elections. Voting is limited to the premier members of the CCC, but nominations can be done by anybody can be nominated, but the nominations also happen by the premier members, and the general members is a separate issue altogether.
All right. Thanks for that, Rian. I will say I've chaired for the last couple of years now, maybe more than that. I do not mind making way for somebody who is motivated to carry things forward. I encourage everybody to think about what they would do as chair, they would do for our strategy, and time permitting, we'll even get into some of the strategy that the board would like us to take on. So that might help feed your thinking as well. All right, and then I think, Rian, you also have the next announcement on the jobs board.
Yes, I do. So I always wondered, because if you have a new product, they always put new and improved. I don't know how something can be new and improved, but I chose to go with that. So the job board previously was a manual WordPress thing. You tell us your job, we ask the web team to create it, and they put it on the board. We have to remove it manually. So the CNCF developed a tool called getjobs.dev. You register on there, you can post your own jobs. And if you select the supporting organization as the Confidential Computing Consortium, I think it's listed there as CCC, it will automatically show up on the job board on the CCC website. So if you have CC related jobs, please go advertise them there so our members can see and people interested in CC can see your jobs.
Fantastic. So do take advantage of that. I want to make sure that we're employing everybody that we can towards this mission of making the world a little bit more secure place. Our next scheduled session for the TAC falls on the US Thanksgiving holiday. I'm guessing very few of us want to trade in pumpkin pie for TAC meetings. So we'll cancel that one. And if you are not in the US, you're still welcome to make pumpkin pie yourself. And that really brings us down to maybe 2 more meetings, I think, before the end of the year, maybe even just 1 more meeting after that. So we'll have to be very efficient about what we take on in the meetings, but we really do not use the mail lists and GitHub issues as actively as we should. And that's a way that we can be more productive. Next topic is from Yash, rather, on an update from mentoring.
So Verizon had proposed a new project, which was enhanced coding profiles, and the application was open for about 2 weeks. It got 80 applicants, which is amazing. There is a lot of interest in the mentee community, in the Linux Foundation mentee community for new opportunities. They have offered, so they have picked a candidate that they want to be the mentee. The mentee has accepted the offer, and this will now be the fifth mentorship for this year. This exceeds the goal that I had set out at the beginning of the year. I think we had targeted maybe 3, but now we're up to 5. So thank you to all the mentors for donating their time, and yeah, it's been a good year. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much to you and Rian and the Verizon maintainers for making a good use of this mentoring program. For each of the TAC members, ideally you are helping facilitate interaction for your project, respectively. So do think about encouraging your project to take advantage of this mentoring facility. It's there's a cost and a benefit to it. You need a maintainer to spend some time to help coach that mentee. It's not just like outsourcing some work. At the same time, you do get some meaningful work done. And we had a good update from one of the last mentees earlier this summer on a lot of things that they accomplished and learned and benefited the project. And on that note, we're done with announcements, and our next topic is the annual update from Eilert. And so I've stopped sharing. That'll give room for Bhakta to bring up her presentation. And I see you are working on getting your slides up. You are on mute. I don't know if you're yet trying to speak.
So do you see my screen?
I do, and I hear you.
Okay.
And I even see you.
Oh, okay, let me start. So hello, everyone. I'm Boktuk Jang from Samsung Electronics, and I'm here today Today I'm here to share the annual update on the iLab project. Thank you to the CCC for giving us this opportunity to present our progress this year. And before we start, just to recap, iLab is an open source project that enables confidential computing on ARM CCA architecture. Our goal is to protect user privacy on end user devices. And to achieve this, the project spans implementing confidential computing firmware as the main development and the framework that allows confidential computing to be integrated with operating systems on mobile devices. Let me start with the official review items. There has been no changes to submission templates or technical charters, and the project remains in incubation stage, and we'd like to stay there for another year. This is because the project is still in its pre-commercial phase, and we haven't identified any need for budget allocation at this time. And the project license stays with Apache 2.0 as the last year. And additionally, we improved the OpenSSF compliance score to 99%, which is just below the passing level. And we are still working on it to meet the passing level standards. We didn't have many community activities this year, but there are a few meaningful outcomes. Firstly, we participated in the CCC mentorship program, where our mentee worked on fuzz testing to strengthen iLab's security. This was part of our effort to engage with the community and improve iLab's testing framework as well. Thank you to the CCC again for giving us this opportunity. And if possible, we'd like to apply for another mentorship program in the future. We also presented a poster at CCC Summit this year titled The Security Monitor Framework for On-Device Confidential Computing. This also helped us to share iLab's security approach with community. And there is one area we need to continue to focus on is expanding maintainer and contributors community. We have found it challenging to attract more contributors, so we would appreciate any advice or examples from other CCC projects on how to encourage more participation. Moving on to technical progress, we've updated iLab RMM, which is confidential computing firmware called the RAM Management Monitor, or RMM, in ARM's terminology. It is illustrated as a blue box in the diagram on the right, and iLab follows the RMM interface specification defined by ARM. And this year, we've updated its implementation to support the ARM's specification version 1.0 release 0. As shown in the timeline, there is about a 1-year cycle between ARM's specification release and our implementation. However, starting from next version, many of the new features are more advanced and targeted at servers. So we think we're gonna stay with the current version for a while and focus on improving internal code improvement instead. Moving higher up the software stack, this year we implemented a framework that enables a part of Android app code run inside the confidential VM, bringing on-device confidential computing closer to application developers. To make this possible, we extended Android's AIDL interface system. As shown in the example code, if a developer adds generate CC service annotation to their AIDL defined interface, its corresponding service is automatically built to be executed within a confidential VM. This allows Android applications that already use AIDL communication to run confidentially with minimal changes. This framework is currently being refined, and we're going to open it by early next year at the latest. Through this release, we hope Android application developers can explore on-device CC and share their feedback with us, and hopefully join us as contributors. Looking ahead to 2026, we have 3 main goals. First one is we're going to expand current CC framework for Android, applying it to more real-world applications. It would be also great if this could be done through the collaboration with this community. And we're also going to enhance performance of islet, especially islet RMM. And lastly, we need to improve documentation to make it easier for newcomers to get started. This concludes the annual update for islet, and thank you for your time and support. We really appreciate being part of this community and welcome feedback.
That was great. Thank you for that, Bogduk. I'm going to drop into chat
Okay.
I wanted to paste that as an image and not as text. Let's try that again. That's the link to our governance repo that has the questions that we ask each project to fulfill when they come in. These are sort of the formal requirements, but usually these updates are a better opportunity to just understand more about a project that we might not have a chance to interact with. So I encourage any questions here. And you don't need to worry about looking at that live, Bogduk. I just wanted to make sure that the TAC members had context for what their governance responsibilities were in the review. But most of the TAC members right now have been here through multiple annual reviews this year. So I've got some questions as people are coming up with theirs, but I encourage other people to ask questions as well. The first is just a sort of coming from a place of ignorance on the availability of CCA in mobile devices. Are you currently working on actual hardware handsets, or is this primarily through emulators right now?
So yeah, we're still working on emulators and we don't have any hardware yet, unfortunately.
Okay. That's still very cool though. I believe islet has a unique place in the CCC portfolio as the only project targeting mobile devices. And it's a very unique way to use confidential computing. So I think it's pretty special.
Thank you for saying that.
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the slides, you mentioned something around like minimal changes required to the app to be able to run inside a realm. How do you achieve that? Is there like a shim layer that the project has?
So within the AIDL, Android provides automatically generating code. It's like a glue code at the caller side and the receiver side. So we extend that generator and make the communication make it enable it the communication done through between normal world and real world. So at the application level, it just calls the method over ADL communication as it does in within the normal world, but it actually that communication, that method call goes over to the real world.
So this, you called it, I think, like a glue. Like this is like a layer that sort of translates, like
Right.
doing something in the realm world, without the application needing to like talk to it differently or know, right?
Yeah. So basically, AADL is how it works. So if a developer defines a interface and they implement the color side API, and the solver implements the defined interface, and using this AADL descriptor file, it automatically generates the hidden files on for both sides, for colors and the source, the handler side.
Okay, awesome. That's super interesting. Thank you. If I could ask you, it's probably already in the slides, but if someone could drop in the chat the link to the project, I'd be interested to learn more offline.
Sorry, I cannot find the chat.
Yeah, I can
So-
grab the link for you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep. Other questions? So I also want to give you some answers. I don't know that you have a liaison person. Sometimes we call that a mentor in the past on the TAC.
Mhm.
Should probably actually look at my own slides to see
So,
where that went. Where I put my own slides. Too many windows open. Anyway, regardless of whether or not you have somebody that's trying to provide coaching from the TAC, you asked about how you can grow more contributors, and there's a few
Yeah.
ways off the top of my head.
Mhm.
One is having clear documentation. So when a potential contributor lands at your repo, it's easy for them to get started.
Okay.
So documentation is often your first interaction with a user or a developer.
Mhm.
So the easier that is, or the clearer that is, the more likely that they're going to hang around for the next few minutes, the next few hours, actually create an issue or a pull request. The next thing is, if you do get an external issue or pull request, then being able to be responsive to that person, that helps them feel like they are getting feedback on their investment and time in your project. You already got your badge up to nearly complete, and that has a lot of these same things in it. So you're probably already doing a lot of these good, what we would call hygiene things for your project. And then those are sort of indirect ways that, well, actually being responsive to contributors is a fairly direct way. The other way to go out and like actively recruit is that we help promote blog posts, demo reels that you put up to YouTube, for example. Those are things that we want to help amplify at the CCC.
Mhm.
And so any content that you create that's about your CCC project, we can promote that off of our blog and help promote it through the social channels.
Oh.
And then similarly with demos that you might want to record.
Okay. So within 2 or 3 months, we're going to release our work on Android. I think that would be a great opportunity using this blog to
Yeah,
promote
yeah,
our
definitely.
report. Yeah. And thank you for the other tips, clearing, making the documentation more clear and being responsive to the issues that posted in our GitHub.
And then I'll also drop a link to the entirety of the benefits. I think it's the entirety of the benefits that we have recorded in the governance repo. But just one other one that I'll point out is that we can help defray the cost of travel when you go to represent your project at a conference. So if you want to go advertise ILIT at a conference, kind of like you did at the CC Summit, each project is allocated a small amount of travel money. So typically that's not going to cover everything, but it can help defray that cost. So if your company is not able to cover your trip, then some of that will be available.
Yeah, that could be a great opportunity too. Thanks.
Yeah. Other questions or comments from the community? So the benefits are in that same link that I posted earlier, but higher up. So there's the actual handle to the benefits now in chat. Okay, well, thanks for putting that together, Buktuk. I hope people, if they have questions and they were maybe shy about coming off of mute, feel free to hit the mail list with those, and we can help connect those with the project or go out to the project repository and consider opening an issue or trying out the project.
Okay, then I will stop sharing the screen.
All right. Okay, so our next topic is I want to talk about our planning for the coming year. And we've been doing some of that budget prioritization, just knowing what we have typically done from year to year and what we wanted to do better this coming year. We do have some additional guidance from the board that's quite fresh, so I'm going to pop that up here. I apologize, it's not formatted great, but this block of text here is from the board. So they have recently adopted this strategic statement in the first line. So I'll let people read that, so I don't read it aloud for you for a minute. And so that differs a bit from what we have done for the last 2 years in the TAC. So in the TAC, we've had a triad of objectives. We've wanted to improve our project portfolio, grow our community, and then also influence the adjacent parts of the ecosystem. So getting out into compliance and regulatory and things like that, different standards organizations. So this is slightly different. And one of the things here is promoting these best practices, use cases, and reference architectures. So to me, this comes off as building more collateral. So how should people actually do this? So some of the same things. Some of the same things that Casey was talking about at the beginning of the call and that I heard from Nigel over email. The other thing here on the second line, so we had the best practices and reference architectures. So I anticipate that we'll create some new documents. One of the first things that we did in the TAC was create a couple of papers. We've kind of gotten away from that in the last year. So I think that the board would like to see some more detailed documents that we can collaboratively build. The third thing on here is integration. So we've got these projects like Verizon and Islet, and maybe these things can be better together. I think there is some creativity to be had here on how we fulfill this aspect of what the board is looking for. Wonder if anything comes to mind from anybody in the TAC right now looking at these, any of these three really.
I mean, it would be nice if there was a more general purpose framework that sort of connected all of the parts. You know, I've been more thinking like back end server side, but you know, if we're talking about Islet or something, like just have a few defaults or at the very least recipes of getting some of these things started. Because I think the setup is the intimidating part. Once something is there and you can build on it, there's not you know, it's a little bit easier, becomes more of a standard developer process.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Yash?
Yeah, so I think a couple of months ago we had someone from Red Hat talk about their experience in deploying a solution in a customer environment, and there were a few challenges that the speaker had pointed out, and I think it was up to me to kind of follow up. And I did reach out back to him, but you know, we haven't had the time to really identify those things. Having the CCC provide reference architectures for potential customers or someone who's new to the space, that could help in speeding up adoption, like Casey points out, right? It's overwhelming at first if you don't know how to set it up, and having more sort of examples of how customers deploying it in production environments and someone who's just starting out maybe with a small cloud environment, where to start, what to consider would be a good space. Good thing for the CC to adopt next year. The TAC to
Yeah.
adopt next year, sorry.
Yeah, and frankly, we can get going on these things before next year. So again, we probably only have a meeting or two left in the calendar year, but we can get these discussions going over the mail list. Something that would be helpful to me over the mail list is if somebody wanted to propose the scope of one document or a small list of documents. You know, just that in the same sense of it's hard to get started with confidential computing, it would help us to get started. You don't have to feel like you know how to design the entire document, but just getting a couple ideas out there on the list of where we would spend time, I think would be helpful.
You're saying specifically a document for some type of intro document for you know, a new, say, developer to come in? Is that what you're referencing?
That would be great. So, I mean, the way it's laid out here is best practices, but one of those best practices could be a getting started document, or equally for reference architectures. And it sounded like you were getting at like from the developer's perspective, and that's something that I think we had on our list this year that we never got around to was like, what does the developer journey look like? I think there's enough to be written here that there's probably not many wrong answers, maybe no wrong answers. It's really a matter of, in any of these things, a matter of initiative for people to get together on some small number of addressable topics. the last thing that's sort of awkwardly on here, but we've talked about several times, is we were going to take away the money that we had apportioned for this community architect, and we were going to dole that out in 1, 2, maybe 3 chunks to projects. So a lot of the benefits that I linked to just a bit ago it's a small amount of money that goes across all of the projects, which adds up to a decent amount of money, but individually it's not a whole lot of money. And so looking at, can we help materially advance a project by granting a larger chunk of money? And so the 2 main things that are out there on the GitHub issue are the SPDM security audit that was sort of proposed earlier this year, but we didn't have budget allocated for it, so it's been on the back burner. And then Verizon has a great number of repos, and they're having a little bit of trouble spreading themselves thin across all of those, managing GitHub issues and so forth. So having somebody to help triage and project manage what's going on there would be helpful to them. And you'll see those on this issue 330. Which I will drop in here. I have not seen TAC members' comments on here. Thank you, Mona, for adding a Grameen topic. That's helpful to look at as well. I'm expecting that each of the TAC members interacts here and indicates their support or asks clarifying questions where needed so that we can finalize this. Any questions from TAC members on the proposed topics?
Hey, I have a question. What's the timeline for the decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that the budget, I think we technically don't need to decide the allocations for the budget right now, but the aggregate budget is something that is going to be agreed upon by the board in maybe the next session. And so if anybody wanted to propose something that's materially different than what we have now, I think I clipped out the detail on the budget on this version of the deck, but from the last meeting, it's basically flat, and we're taking this $100,000 from TCA and putting it into this project support bucket. So if anybody was going to suggest something different, it needs to be out there and discussed by the TAC before the board meeting, which I want to say is the 19th of November. And then I think for the actual decision on allocations, it would be good if we finalized that by the end of the calendar year so that we can start right away in 2026. Otherwise, we're just being bureaucratically slow, and that's not going to, of course, accelerate our projects. So I think maybe next meeting, yeah, we have a couple more left because we've got, I may have said something wrong with the dates. So our next meeting is not the Thanksgiving meeting. That's probably 2 meetings out. So sorry if I misspoke there. So I think we've got another meeting before the 27th. But either in that meeting or the one that happens immediately in December would be, yeah, so those are our last 2 meetings. So in one of those 2, we'll want to probably vote on those allocations, either for Verizon, Grameen, or SPDM tools, or if other projects have gotten onto that issue since that point. So we'll want to make that decision in the next 1 to 2 meetings. Thanks, Yash, for putting the actual
Yeah,
dates in.
we should not wait till the last meeting of the year, which is the 11th. So give people 2 more weeks. You already opened it 3 weeks ago. I'm seeing it now. So that would be 5 weeks. And yeah, if you didn't respond, then you missed out this year, I guess.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, quiet bunch today on the budget. So I guess that does leave a few minutes for talking about the proposed project. We've already had 2 meetings on that, so I'm not going to recap the proposal itself, but I do want to say it's on the list. And I'm hoping that people chime in on the list whether they feel like that project is ready to come into incubation, or whether people would like to see it mature more, or they have some uncertainty about the technical approach, or anything else like that. So we will still keep that on the mail list. If you are not subscribed to the mail list, it's lists.confidentialcomputing.io, and I assume that will take you through an enrollment process. If you don't have a Linux Foundation ID, you'll probably get prompted to create one. It's free, it's easy, it's like any other account that you create online today, so that shouldn't be an obstacle for anyone. But I would like to see us make a little bit more use of the mail list. And then I guess you'll also see out there this thread from started by Mark about the TE fail thing. All right, any other topics or discussion for today? All right, thanks again to our new joins, and we will continue these conversations on the GitHub issues and mail list, and otherwise we will see people in about 2 weeks on November 13th.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.